Do your knees complain when you climb a single flight of stairs? Does a morning stiffness greet you like an old acquaintance, slowing the simple rhythm of getting out of bed? If you are between 35 and 70 years old, and these questions hit close to home, know this at the outset. The ache is not a moral failing, nor is it an inevitable sentence to a life of limitations. It is, in most cases, a signal, a physiological message your body is still perfectly capable of answering, provided you give it the right tools. Today, I will guide you through a clear, practical course. 3 foods that research and clinical experience identify as among the most effective dietary allies for protecting and rebuilding the joints that enable so much of our daily life. I will explain, in plain but precise language, why these foods matter, what they do inside the knee, and how to make them work for you. I will also show how small, consistent changes can translate into measurable improvements in comfort and mobility. This is not promise-making. It is evidence-informed guidance intended to help you take control of your joint health. I say evidence-informed deliberately. The narrative you will hear here is grounded in the kinds of studies and expert analyses that appear in reputable medical and nutritional journals. I will translate that science into actionable steps you can follow at home without expensive treatments or complicated regimens. At the same time, this is not individualized medical advice. If you have an existing diagnosis, are taking medication, or have complex health conditions, consult your physician before making significant dietary changes. Consider this presentation a well-referenced field guide rather than a prescription. Why begin with a promise? Because when the subject is knee pain, what people want first is relief, and what clinicians and scientists want is clarity. Relief is rarely instantaneous, but clarity, understanding what is happening and why, is the foundation of sustained progress. In the minutes ahead, you will learn to distinguish between what merely masks symptoms and what contributes to genuine tissue support. You will learn which foods have bioactive compounds that reduce chronic inflammation, which nutrients supply raw material for tissue repair, and which culinary practices increase the likelihood those nutrients will reach the cells that need them. There is another reason to start here: hope. Diet is one of the few levers within reach of almost everyone. Medications and surgeries have their place, but food is universal, continuous, and modifiable. Over time, the right pattern of eating can shift the internal milieu of the body away from persistent inflammation and toward repair. Cartilage, the smooth connective tissue that cushions your knee, has limited intrinsic capacity to regenerate, yet it is not static. The biochemical environment, the balance of inflammatory mediators versus reparative signals, the availability of building blocks such as collagen and amino acids, the presence of antioxidants to neutralize destructive molecules, determines whether degeneration progresses or plateaus. The 3 foods we will examine together are chosen precisely because each influences that environment in complementary ways. Before I go further, allow a brief map of what follows. I will first explain, succinctly and clearly, the principal mechanisms that make knees susceptible to chronic pain as we age: loss of cartilage integrity, changes in joint lubrication, and the low-grade, persistent inflammation that wears tissues down over years. Then we will examine, in turn, the 3 foods that have the strongest potential to counter those mechanisms. For each food, I will describe the active components, how they work physiologically, practical ways to integrate them into a typical week, and simple preparation tips that maximize benefit. After that, I will outline common dietary and lifestyle factors that accelerate joint wear, not to scold, but to help you recognize and reverse the avoidable contributors to pain. Finally, you will receive a pragmatic 30-day plan designed to put the science into practice with minimal disruption to the routines of everyday life. A word about scope and expectation. No single food is a miracle cure. The most effective improvements come from combinations, the right nutrients, regular movement that encourages circulation and cartilage nourishment, sound sleep, and attention to body weight if that is a factor. What this series aims to do is identify 3 high-impact dietary choices that, when used consistently and intelligently, significantly increase the odds that your knee will feel stronger, move more freely, and demand less of your patience and spirit. You may already guess that at least one of the 3 foods I will recommend is common in kitchens around the world. That familiarity is important. You do not need rare ingredients or elaborate recipes to begin. What matters is frequency, quality, and a few small techniques that enhance absorption and usefulness at the cellular level. I will also share, midway through the presentation, a brief and natural invitation. If you find this information helpful, consider subscribing to the channel so you receive future features on practical strategies to preserve mobility and independence as you age. That request will arrive not as an interruption, but as a simple, human reminder that you are not alone in this effort, that there is a community and a stream of practical, science-based guidance available to you. For now, hold that curiosity. Let the possibility that your knees can feel better steer the next minutes of attention. In the next chapter, we will examine the physiological causes of knee pain in more detail. What happens to cartilage and synovial fluid over time, how systemic inflammation changes the joint environment, and why some conventional dietary choices accelerate wear. Understanding those mechanisms will make the 3 foods that follow not only plausible, but compelling. Knee pain does not simply appear one morning out of nowhere. It is usually the result of a slow and silent process that has been unfolding beneath the surface for years. Most people only begin to notice it when a simple act, bending down to tie a shoe, standing up from a chair, or climbing a few stairs, suddenly feels heavier, more resistant, accompanied by that subtle grinding or clicking sound. This gradual wear and tear is not only mechanical, but biochemical. To understand how to reverse it, even partially, we first need to understand how it begins. Your knee is a hinge joint, designed to bear your weight and to provide both stability and flexibility. At the end of each bone, there is a smooth, resilient tissue called cartilage. Its role is to reduce friction, distribute pressure, and act as a shock absorber. Surrounding it, a clear liquid called synovial fluid serves as a natural lubricant, delivering nutrients and cushioning the movement. When both cartilage and synovial fluid are healthy, the knee moves smoothly and silently, almost effortlessly. But as we age, or when our diet and lifestyle create chronic inflammation, this delicate balance starts to fail. Cartilage is largely made of collagen, the same protein that gives structure to your skin and connective tissues. Unlike other tissues in the body, cartilage has almost no blood supply, which means it heals extremely slowly. When the supply of key nutrients like amino acids, vitamin C, and trace minerals decreases, collagen fibers become weaker. Micro cracks appear, friction increases, and the body responds with inflammation, an attempt to repair the damage. Over time, however, this inflammation becomes chronic, creating a vicious cycle. Inflammation damages cartilage, and damaged cartilage triggers more inflammation. Another factor is the loss of lubrication. As the production of synovial fluid declines with age and dehydration, the cartilage surfaces rub directly against each other. This friction generates microscopic wear that worsens the pain and stiffness many people describe as bone on bone. You may notice that your knees feel worse in the morning or after sitting for long periods. That is because movement helps circulate synovial fluid, and when you remain still, the joints dry out, so to speak. Modern diets compound the problem. Highly processed foods, sugars, refined carbohydrates, and certain vegetable oils promote low-grade inflammation that affects every joint in the body. These foods trigger chemical mediators, such as cytokines and prostaglandins, that not only worsen pain, but also accelerate the degradation of cartilage. This is why people who consume a diet rich in ultra-processed products often experience earlier or more severe joint discomfort compared to those who eat more natural, anti-inflammatory foods. In addition to diet, a sedentary lifestyle and excess body weight further strain the knees. Every additional kilogram adds roughly 4 times that amount of pressure to the joint when you walk. Over time, this mechanical overload, combined with poor lubrication and chronic inflammation, results in a progressive weakening of the entire joint structure. The good news is that none of these processes are irreversible. While you cannot rewind the biological clock, you can absolutely slow the wear, support regeneration, and in many cases, significantly reduce pain by addressing the underlying causes, primarily through nutrition and movement. Painkillers may provide temporary relief, but they do not rebuild tissue. The true repair comes from giving the body what it needs to synthesize new collagen, reduce inflammation, and restore balance. The foods we will discuss soon are powerful precisely because they target these fundamental mechanisms. They feed the cartilage from the inside, calm the inflammatory response, and help the joints regain their natural elasticity. So, as you listen to the next sections, think of your knees not as a lost cause, but as a living system capable of renewal. With the right nutrients and habits, the very tissue that now feels fragile can become resilient again. In the next chapter, we will explore how food plays a direct biochemical role in joint regeneration, and how the right choices at the table can change what happens deep inside your knees. There is an old saying in medicine, "We are what we eat." Nowhere is that more evident than in the state of our joints. The knee is not isolated from the rest of your metabolism. It responds every single day to the quality of the nutrients circulating in your blood. If your diet lacks essential building blocks, your joints starve quietly. But when you nourish them correctly, you can, quite literally, feed your way out of pain. Every joint in your body relies on a balance of structural proteins, antioxidants, and anti-inflammatory compounds. Collagen is the foundation. It acts like the steel framework inside reinforced concrete, giving the joint its strength and flexibility. But collagen does not appear out of thin air. Your body must synthesize it using specific amino acids, vitamin C, zinc, and copper. If even one of these elements is missing, the process falters, and the cartilage begins to lose density and elasticity. This is why nutrient deficiencies are often hidden contributors to joint pain. For example, vitamin C is not only an antioxidant, it is the cofactor that allows enzymes to assemble collagen fibers properly. Without enough vitamin C, collagen strands form weak, unstable networks that cannot endure stress. Similarly, omega-3 fatty acids, found in fatty fish, act as anti-inflammatory agents, reducing the production of cytokines that degrade cartilage. Polyphenols from fruits, vegetables, and spices help neutralize free radicals that would otherwise damage joint cells. The opposite is also true. Diets dominated by sugar, refined flour, and fried foods increase oxidative stress and chronic inflammation. They elevate markers such as C-reactive protein, CRP, in the bloodstream, which scientists have repeatedly linked to accelerated cartilage loss. In contrast, diets rich in omega-3s, antioxidants, and natural collagen sources lower those markers, leading to improved mobility and reduced stiffness. Think of your joints as a garden. Inflammation is the weed, collagen is the soil, and nutrition is the water and sunlight. You cannot expect flowers to grow if the soil is barren and the weeds have taken over. Likewise, your knees cannot rebuild themselves if you continue feeding inflammation instead of nourishment. The simple act of choosing the right foods begins to shift the internal chemistry toward repair. Within weeks, many people notice that morning stiffness eases, and the deep, throbbing discomfort that once seemed permanent becomes less frequent. It is also important to note that food affects gene expression. Nutrigenomics, the study of how nutrients influence our DNA, shows that certain compounds can turn on genes related to tissue repair and turn off those linked to inflammation. This means your daily meals are not only fuel, they are molecular instructions that guide how your body behaves. When you eat the right foods, you are essentially programming your joints to heal. In clinical practice and research, 3 categories of foods consistently stand out for joint health. Those rich in omega-3 fatty acids, those providing collagen or its building blocks, and those with strong anti-inflammatory compounds such as curcumin. Each addresses a different aspect of joint biology: lubrication, structural support, and inflammation control. Together, they form a triad that can change the trajectory of joint degeneration. Before we dive into those specific foods, let me share something crucial. If this type of science-based, practical information resonates with you, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. That simple act ensures you will continue receiving clear, trustworthy insights on how to preserve your mobility, energy, and independence through natural strategies. Thousands of people of your age and background are already taking these steps, and it's remarkable to see the progress they make when knowledge becomes daily practice. Let's begin with the first, and perhaps most scientifically validated, food for joint health: salmon and other fatty fish such as sardines, mackerel, and trout. These cold water fish are loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, particularly EPA and DHA, which have been extensively studied for their ability to lower inflammation at the cellular level. When you eat these fish, the omega-3s are incorporated into your cell membranes, replacing some of the pro-inflammatory omega-6 fats that dominate most modern diets. This substitution changes the chemistry of your body's inflammatory response. Instead of producing aggressive compounds that irritate the joints, your cells begin to produce resolvins and protectins, natural molecules that help calm inflammation and support healing. If you have ever felt your knees swollen after a meal heavy in fried or processed foods, that is inflammation in action. The opposite happens when your diet includes omega-3s. Multiple studies have shown that people who consume fatty fish 2 to 3 times a week experience measurable reductions in joint tenderness, stiffness, and swelling. Omega-3s also appear to slow the breakdown of cartilage by inhibiting enzymes like matrix metalloproteinases that degrade connective tissue. What's more, the benefits extend beyond the knees. Omega-3 fatty acids help maintain the fluidity of the synovial liquid, the natural lubricant inside your joints. When that fluid is healthier, movement becomes smoother and less painful. Think of it as changing the oil in your car engine. Fresh, clean oil allows the machinery to move freely without friction. That's precisely what happens inside your knees when you regularly consume omega-3s. For those who don't eat fish, high-quality fish oil or algal oil supplements can be a practical alternative. But whenever possible, aim for the real food. 2 servings of grilled, baked, or steamed salmon per week can make a meaningful difference. Avoid frying, as excessive heat can destroy delicate omega-3 molecules. Combine your salmon with antioxidant-rich vegetables, spinach, broccoli, or colorful peppers, and a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. This combination not only enhances the flavor, but also amplifies the anti-inflammatory effect of your meal. Now let's move to the second powerful ally for your joints: collagen, particularly when paired with vitamin C. Collagen is the main structural protein in cartilage, tendons, and ligaments. It acts as the body's natural scaffolding, holding everything together and absorbing mechanical shocks. As we age, our collagen production decreases by around 1% per year after the age of 30. That might not sound like much, but over 2 decades, the cumulative loss is substantial. The result is thinner cartilage, weaker ligaments, and a greater susceptibility to injury and pain. Supplying your body with collagen, or more precisely the amino acids required to make it, can help counter that loss. Hydrolyzed collagen supplements have shown positive results in clinical trials, improving joint comfort and mobility in older adults. However, the process of collagen synthesis depends heavily on vitamin C, which acts as a cofactor for the enzymes that assemble collagen fibers. Without adequate vitamin C, even the best collagen supplement will be far less effective. That's why pairing collagen with foods rich in vitamin C, such as citrus fruits, strawberries, kiwis, or bell peppers, is so important. You can think of collagen and vitamin C as a team. Collagen provides the building blocks, while vitamin C supplies the spark that ignites the construction process. A practical way to apply this is to include a scoop of hydrolyzed collagen powder in your morning smoothie with orange juice or berries. Alternatively, traditional foods like bone broth offer natural collagen in a highly bioavailable form. When consumed regularly, these sources help maintain the elasticity and resilience of your cartilage, making each step a little more comfortable. The third food, often underestimated but extraordinarily potent, is turmeric. or more specifically, its active compound curcumin. Curcumin has been described in scientific literature as one of the most powerful natural anti-inflammatories known. It works by inhibiting NF-κB, a molecule that acts as a master switch for inflammation in your body. When NF-κB is turned on, your body floods the bloodstream with inflammatory cytokines that aggravate pain and swelling. Curcumin helps to switch it off, calming the immune response that fuels joint discomfort. The fascinating part is that curcumin's effectiveness has been compared in some studies to that of certain anti-inflammatory medications, yet without the gastrointestinal side effects. But there's a catch. Curcumin is poorly absorbed on its own. To activate its full potential, it must be consumed with black pepper, which contains piperine, a compound that increases curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. Pairing it with a healthy fat, such as olive oil or coconut oil, further enhances its bioavailability. You can use turmeric in multiple ways: as a spice for soups, curries, or scrambled eggs, or as a warm drink known as golden milk, made by mixing turmeric powder, a pinch of black pepper, and a small amount of oil into warm milk or plant-based milk. Many people notice that after several weeks of consistent use, the intensity and frequency of their joint pain begin to decrease. The key, again, is consistency. Together, these three foods, fatty fish, collagen with vitamin C, and turmeric, form a nutritional foundation for healthier joints. Each one acts on a different but complementary mechanism. Omega-3s calm inflammation and protect cartilage. Collagen rebuilds it, and curcumin reduces the biochemical triggers that destroy it. No single element can do everything alone, but when combined, they create an internal environment where healing becomes possible. In the next chapter, we'll look at the opposite side of the equation: the foods and habits that quietly destroy your joint health. Knowing what to avoid is just as important as knowing what to eat, because even the best nutrients cannot compensate for a diet that constantly fuels inflammation. It's easy to focus on adding good foods, but if harmful ones remain in your daily routine, progress will always be slower. Chronic joint pain thrives in an environment of inflammation, and many common modern foods keep that inflammation alive. The first and most damaging culprit is sugar. Refined sugars found in soft drinks, pastries, and processed snacks cause rapid spikes in blood glucose, which trigger the release of inflammatory cytokines. They also accelerate the formation of advanced glycation end products, compounds that stiffen tissues and make cartilage less flexible. In simple terms, sugar makes your joints older than they really are. The second hidden enemy is refined vegetable oils, particularly those rich in omega-6 fatty acids like corn, soybean, sunflower, and canola oils. While omega-6s are not inherently bad, the problem lies in the imbalance. The modern diet often contains 15 to 20 times more omega-6 than omega-3, creating a strong pro-inflammatory bias in the body. This imbalance amplifies joint pain, swelling, and stiffness. Replacing these oils with extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, or small amounts of coconut oil can dramatically reduce that inflammatory burden. Next are refined carbohydrates, white bread, pasta, and other processed grains. They act much like sugar, causing spikes in insulin that promote inflammation and weight gain, both of which add stress to the knees. Each extra pound of body weight translates into roughly 4 pounds of additional pressure on each knee during walking. Losing even a small amount of weight can make a noticeable difference in comfort and mobility. Finally, sedentary habits must be mentioned. A lack of movement reduces blood flow and limits the delivery of nutrients to joint tissues. Remember that cartilage has no direct blood supply. It relies on movement to pump nutrients in and waste products out. Without regular motion, even a perfect diet will work at half its potential. Gentle, low-impact activities such as walking, swimming, or stretching for 15 to 20 minutes a day help maintain that essential flow. To protect your joints, think of subtraction as well as addition. Eliminate what fuels the fire and nourish what restores balance. Many people notice that after cutting down sugar and processed oils for just 2 weeks, their knees feel lighter, less swollen, and less noisy when moving. Your body is responsive. When you remove the irritants, healing begins almost immediately. In the following chapters, we will put everything together, a practical 30-day recovery plan, followed by insights from real cases and scientific studies that confirm these results. You will see that your knees are not destined to hurt forever. They can become strong again with the right knowledge and habits. As you continue nourishing your body with these powerful foods, something begins to change, quietly, steadily, but unmistakably. The stiffness that once greeted you in the morning starts to ease. The steps you used to dread, those small climbs or walks to the garden, begin to feel lighter. That familiar ache that once felt like an unwanted companion starts to fade into the background. You start moving again. Not just your body, but your confidence, your joy, your independence. Because when your joints heal, life begins to move again in every sense of the word. And that's what true vitality looks like after 50. Not perfection, but freedom of movement without pain. Science has shown us time and again that the human body has an extraordinary capacity to repair itself when we give it the right tools. The foods you eat every single day can either feed inflammation or fuel regeneration. And for your knees, your hips, your hands, and every joint that carries you through life, those foods matter more than you might realize. Think of your body as a construction site. It's constantly tearing down and rebuilding tissue. The problem is, as we age, we tend to run out of the building materials needed to complete the repairs. That's why cartilage thins, synovial fluid dries up, and pain begins to set in. But when you replenish your system with the right nutrients, collagen from bone broth, omega-3s from fatty fish, vitamin C from vibrant fruits, you're essentially handing your body the blueprint and materials it needs to restore itself. It's not a miracle, it's biology at its best. If you've been struggling with persistent knee pain, it's not just about adding a few foods. It's about changing the way you view your body's potential. You are not broken. Your body hasn't given up on you. The truth is, every cell inside you is constantly listening to what you eat, how you move, and even how you think. When you choose foods that tell your body to rebuild instead of inflame, healing begins, slowly but surely. And if you found real value in this information, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Every week, we share science-based insights that can help you take control of your health naturally. Your body deserves care, and your future self will thank you for every small change you start today. So click that subscribe button, and let's keep learning, healing, and growing stronger together. Now imagine this. You wake up one morning, and instead of bracing yourself for pain, you stand tall, stretch your legs, and feel stability where there once was weakness. You walk to the kitchen, maybe with a smile, because you realize something incredible. You didn't have to take a pill or rely on some quick fix. You simply gave your body what it needed, nutrients that nature has offered all along. That's the power of knowledge. When you understand the why behind your body's pain, you unlock the how to heal it. Every meal becomes a choice, a small step toward rebuilding what time and inflammation tried to take away. So the next time you sit down to eat, remember this. Food isn't just fuel, it's information, it's instruction. And when you choose wisely, your joints listen and they heal. Thank you for watching and for choosing to invest in your health. You have more control over your pain, your mobility, and your future than you think. Until next time, take care of your body, because it's the only home you truly live in. Goodbye, knee pain, and hello to a stronger, more vibrant you.